we're trying to figure out how to do that. I guess won't be that important if we can't, right?
No, not too important. It's always nice. Get
I know.
Name with a face. As we get more people into the meeting here, let's go ahead and make sure that we have your name and your organization that you're with.
Okay, you see me now?
Yeah, I see you, Tom.
Okay.
So, yes. Well,
Well, with our new board member, Roger Williams, we have a quorum. So,
all right, so I guess we'll go ahead and begin. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Cultural and Tourism Promotions Advisory Board. I'm Felipe, Chair of the Board. I'm calling this meeting to order for February 8th, 6:01 p.m. Chris, can you call that roll?
yes. Felipe Gonzalez, Chair.
I'm here.
All right. Laura Tessler, Vice Chair. I don't remember seeing Laura sign in. Galen McAllister.
Present.
Ryan Gale.
here.
Omar Alvarado. I don't remember seeing Omar sign in yet. Scott Snyder.
Here.
Carly Wright. Don't see Carly. Jeffrey Tiffany.
Here.
And Roger Williams, our newest board member.
Here.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. I'm going to share my screen here. All right. So our first order of business is the usual, to approve today's agenda and last meeting's minutes. Is there any discussion on any topic on the agenda before we begin? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 And we'll let the record reflect that Omar just signed on. So that's 7 of 9.
Awesome. Thank you. And that was a motion to approve the
Motion to approve the minutes and agenda.
Yep. And I just make sure you got me on that one. Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion passes. We have this here, kind of a standard sort of slide on all of our presentations. So just to kind of show you the typical year for this board's work. So you can always reference the agenda packet and you'll be able to see this information. All right, next up is public testimony. So please raise your hand and Chris will call on you if you'd like to address the board on any matter other than those that are on tonight's agenda. So I'll just pause for a moment.
Felipe, who seconded the motion? I'm sorry.
I don't remember.
Do you know, Chris? Who seconded the motion? Speak up.
I did, Jeff.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right, hearing none. Next up is the action items. So I think we're going to begin, Chris, with the strategic plan. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got someone here to speak about the Salem Rotary Amphitheater and their strategic plan. So I guess I can go ahead and stop sharing since I know there's a report that was provided to us in the agenda packet.
Yes, Kathleen Swarm is here from the city of Salem.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a nice evening. I'm going to try and share the packet myself. So thanks for having me join you this evening. I'm just going to go over a strategic plan which I developed. I really developed this from the point of view of a consultant, using my years of experience in the industry and now having worked for the city for about 9 months. I kind of pooled those two pieces of knowledge together to create a best path forward from my perspective. And really for this to be a tool for the city or anybody within the city to use to set a pathway for what and how you might approach the amphitheater and its development. Of course, I would be excited to be the person who sees and puts this plan into action, and hopefully I get that chance. So I'll go ahead and walk through this plan with you. So what I have laid out here is really what you might use as like the guiding principles for maximum benefit of what could we use and how could we use this venue for our community. And so that would be one, we would want this venue to be a community gathering space. We would also want to host world-class performances. Of course, this venue should be a place for local artists and community organizations to have a platform. I also think it's really important that this venue is an integral part of our downtown culture and that it really represents our culture of our city and the downtown area, and that it is part of it, that it's integrated into that and not separate, but very reflective of the community that we have. We, of course, want this facility to attract visitors and residents to Salem businesses and our city parks. It's really important that as this venue is developed, we establish a national reputation for excellence. The event and venue world, so to speak, is a small one, and there's not a lot of people who don't know each other within this world of venues and large events. So you want to make sure that your relationships that you have with the professionals in the industry, that you really establish yourself as a place of excellence. It's also important that we create community pride and loyalty towards the venue in our parks downtown. We have the opportunity to give our community experiences, music, art, and entertainment with this venue. And we can also support local businesses and have positive economic growth region-wide. So we're just going to want to keep our eye on all of these these guiding principles, if you will, as you move forward with the development of the amphitheater. So from the start, last year, we had, look at that, hold on, we're missing slides. It's skipping a slide every time I'm doing it. Hold on, let me see if I can't share it another way. It was skipping every other side. We don't want that. This should be better. Can you guys see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we're good.
So in year one, we had 30 different events at the amphitheater. And these were all different kinds of event, everything from private events such as wedding receptions to yoga in the park and large ticketed concerts and music festivals and Iron Man. So altogether, we had about 30 events at the facility. And looking forward, if we were to jump 5 years ahead, I believe that you would be looking to aim for about 50 events to happen at this venue every year. And what we would really want to focus on is increasing the number of entire facility rentals and really have the emphasis to be on these national touring acts brought in by professional promoters. I developed revenue projections based simply on the current facility fee model that we have at the facility and within the city. And so I developed these, and they're a very achievable and reasonable using what we already have and what already exists. I definitely think there's opportunity to increase these revenues, and we will see different pathways of revenue that develops as we go along. The real possible economic impact comes to our community on a much larger scale. And so when you guys look at our economic impact calculator, you can put in different numbers. These are numbers that I thought were pretty reasonable. And when you look at a 3,000 person event, you have a possible economic impact to our greater community between $500,000 and $600,000 per event, which is really exciting. It's really exciting for me to also think about how we can integrate our community businesses and organizations into these events, so that we know that, you know, every hamburger sold and every drink sold at the venue is going right back into our community. When you look at areas of development, these areas of development, this is really the work of running and operating a venue. When efforts are placed into developing these areas, we will move closer to achieving our goals and working towards those guiding principles. If running an amphitheater is a juggling act, these are the balls we will always need to keep our eyes on. Partnership being an incredibly important one, knowing that when we grow, we want to see our community grow. And so you can always do more together than you can do separately. So building these partnerships is incredibly important. You're also going to build a network of invested stakeholders. And you get to include people in what you're doing. And there's a lot of different ways that you can partner with local businesses and organizations so that they're growing along with this venue. I can't emphasize marketing enough. Marketing will always be an important part of running and operating any venue. It's how you make it look attractive and how people not only find the events that are happening, and so your events are well attended, but marketing, a huge aspect of it is also finding your clients and customers who are going to be renting the venue. Donations. We're going to want to establish a dedicated fund, and it's a priority to get our donations moving into the amphitheater. And so we can have a way that community members can support all of our efforts. An exciting opportunity we have is the vending, the food and beverage options at the amphitheater. Many event venues, food and beverage is their sole revenue source, and that the events are managed by outside companies. That's when your promoters come in, and the promoters who bring the events in, that they get the revenue from the ticket sales. And then the vending is operated by the venue itself. So there's a lot of ways that people manage that and a lot of different options for what that could possibly look like, but it presents a great opportunity for us. For operations and administration, this is the day-to-day work that happens at any venue. So the process for on-site operations and maintenance is going around the year and making sure that the investments that we make into the property, that they can be exponential, that those improvements that we're investing in, that they are going to go towards making it a better facility that's more usable for our customers, and that those improvements only grow on themselves rather than spending money on something that doesn't have the insight that, we're just putting something into something 1 year, and then that isn't even where the emphasis of the venue is looking toward. So that was money that wasn't well spent. So having a really comprehensive understanding of the direction of the venue is really important. Much of the day-to-day work is administration. And that is done from the office. Hours of paperwork, emails, and exchanges goes into every single event that happens at the venue, and the coordination between the different departments and efficient processes, always trying to get those as smooth as possible. A really exciting area of development is programming. And this is where we have the ability to really impact our community directly. And that's with what we offer at the venue itself. And we want those engaging, enriching experiences, community collaboration, and of course, the revenue and economic impact. There are a lot of details I could go into. Every single aspect of this, we could spend a really long time diving deep into what it takes and what it would look like to manage a venue. And every venue really does it differently. There's no one way to do it. There are multiple options for managing performance venues. Generally, they involve varying degrees of contracted services and providers and differing levels of city control. But no matter what structure is chosen, it's probably going to evolve over time. And achieving success will absolutely require steady investment of resources and time. It should also be expected that oversight and coordination of the venue will always be needed by the city. It is an incredibly unique and beautiful venue because of its location. Right downtown in a beautiful park. And the reason it's so unique does mean that there's considerations that you're going to want to take into account when you are getting customers to the venue. And there's also the opportunity, because the city is in a really unique position to provide experiences and offerings that reflect those desired goals that we can go back to as our guiding principles. So we can make sure that whatever events are coming through the amphitheater, we're setting everybody up for success, ourselves, our customers, and also our community in a larger sense. So this is a very general overview, but I really look forward to seeing this venue continue to be incredibly successful. We had a great first year. We had an amazing variety of different events. And I know that this will continue to be a common gathering space for our residents and visitors, that we will bring in world-class artists, and we'll get to be that platform for local talent and community organizations and this beautiful new venue. So that's it for the presentation. Are there any questions I can answer?
Hi, Kathleen. Thanks for the presentation. I see Galen has a question. I'll let you go first, Galen.
Oh, sure. Thanks, Kathleen. That was really helpful, and I appreciate the work you clearly put in to prepare for it. I have a couple questions. They mostly have to do with the slide you provided with the revenue projections. Can you go to that slide?
Yeah. This one.
Yeah, so I'm usually when we see something like this, we see the revenue against expenses. Because that's when you kind of would know where you're going to hit your at least make your costs up. Do you have that yet?
I don't. I think there's a lot of expenses that are paired with the parks expenses, such as like turf maintenance and things like that. So I think it's really hard to kind of separate those, and especially when you get into the day-to-day maintenance and things like that. So I don't have those. I'm not sure if anybody within the city would be able to compile that information. I think maybe Jennifer Keller was going to join us on this call, and she might have a better idea of what that might look like.
Is Jennifer on?
No, I
Hey,
haven't.
sorry.
Nope,
Oh,
she's-
I am. Sorry. Hi, Chris. So we have, in order to try to quantify what those expenses are, since it was the first year, let me introduce myself. I'm sorry. My name is Jennifer Keller. I'm the Parks Operations and Recreation Services Manager. So in order to kind of quantify the first year and then moving forward, since we weren't really in a position to know going in what those expenses might look like, what type of response we would have for use in the amphitheater and the revenues we derive. I actually established a separate project number to differentiate the new amphitheater piece of Riverfront versus the other areas of Riverfront before the amphitheater was built that we provided maintenance in. So we do have, it's limited, obviously, because there's not a lot of historical data yet because the amphitheater is relatively new, but we do have some data from the first year to be able to quantify that level of expenses that were particularly dedicated to the new amphitheater, if that's helpful.
Right. So that'd be good to see, combined with the costs of your staffing on this, just to see what the trends would be. Because strangely on this graph, it looks like in year 5, you're going to have 50 events, but your revenue line is still pretty low. And usually for business models, you want to see the revenue picking up because you have some basic sunk costs. And so the revenue should accelerate a little more than that. So I'm a little concerned that doesn't look like it's ever going to pencil out for you if you're feeling like 50 events a year is kind of the maximum.
So what we can do if and provide it to Chris so that he can share it with you folks is kind of pull that data that I was referencing from what we start, from what we have for this year as kind of a building point. So at least you have that as a comparison. We can kind of look at that comparison on the expenditure versus the revenue side. Again, it's for a limited period of time, but that may help us better navigate, what that may look like in the future. So if that would be helpful, we can put that together and give it to Chris and he can share that with you folks.
Right. And I should have started by saying, I don't know, Kathleen, if I told you our initial concern was your position was paid for out of TOT funds. And we wondered if the facility itself was ever going to be able to support it. So it wouldn't be pulled out of TOT funds. So that was part of our discussion of it.
So if I can just, interject really quickly. So we are cognizant of that. And, that's obviously not how typically the TOT funds are utilized to the extent they have been. So just as an update, we are working with budget office and city manager's office on creating what Kathleen is in a limited duration position in making that a career position and the options that might be available to support the cost of that position, either in part or totality that would not be a TOT fund. So we're aware of that and we're actively working on a remedy to that.
Great. Thanks so much for coming and thanks for filling us in on that.
Thank you.
All right, next up was Ryan with your hand up. Go ahead, Ryan.
Thank you for the presentation. So what processes are currently in place to solicit feedback from vendors and renters in regards to the event space?
Right now we just have open communication with them. So we hear from our customers when the venue is done or when the event is done. There is a number of customers with the larger events that we usually have a post-event meeting with, and that's where we discuss improvements or changes for their next year if it's an annual event.
Okay, and typically, what are the issues that people tend to have the most that you're actively working on?
That's a good question. So I would say one of the things that we run into is that permitting events and getting people into the space and making sure that they have all their permits filled out correctly. That's a challenge for a lot of people. They're not used to navigating that. I will weigh that against it's a really handy and helpful tool to make sure that everybody is well planned before they book the amphitheater. They have to go through the process of filling out the permit and making sure that they have all their vendors in place and that they know what their layout's going to be and that they know their event plan really clearly before the event is actually booked at our venue. But it's a challenge. So we just have to work with them on that process to get through the permitting and get into like our payment system, that sort of thing. And so some of the process is difficult, but otherwise people have really enjoyed the venue and really enjoyed using it. It's been a great facility for a lot of the events.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that people tend to not have a problem with the venue itself. It's more the logistics of renting, getting the venue, and getting all the stuff set up.
Yeah, things that,
Okay.
Permitting things, like our short-term concessionaire permit process is really involved for vendors who want to sell goods, that sort of thing. So getting all of the entities involved permitted so they can use the venue, that can be a detailed process, but it allows us to be really thorough and really well planned by the time they get there.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Awesome. And I see some questions in the chat, so I'll keep going with those who had their hands raised, and then I'll get to the chat questions here. So Scott, you're up next.
Thanks, Felipe. I'm just wondering how many of those 30 events were paid versus free?
Yeah, I think off the top of my mind, I think we only had 3 events where fees were waived last year.
Okay.
There was only a really short period of time where we were doing that before council went back and no longer waived fees. So there was only a handful of them last year.
And so of the 27 that generated revenue, do you have a ballpark of what that was?
I
mean,
don't
is it
know that I have
$1,000
it.
an event? Is it $2,000 an event?
So if they rented the entire facility, it's going to be about $2,500. I would say a good number of them, it was hourly rentals.
Okay.
And so those hourly rentals is only going to be about $500 per hour for about like 4 hours or so.
Okay.
And that's off the top of my head. I would want to
All right.
double check that math, but.
Okay.
All right, thank you. I got Yvonne from Deepwood.
Hi, I put my question in the chat just because my signal's a little weak.
Perfect. Yeah, I can read it out then. So could you better explain economic return? So we thought there would be 500 to 600,000 per event. With 3,000 people, that would mean 150 to 200 per person. If the math is correct. So I'm not quite understanding that part. Let's see, does that consider that many of those are families? Although maybe if you can kind of explain a bit more, Kathleen, about the attendance at the events and some of the economics from what you've seen. And then the only question I had too is kind of what you might have learned, from the past year.
Yeah, and you can, this is a really fun and easy calculator to use. So you can start playing with the numbers in there and then you can get different answers on, are people, if they're buying tickets, if they're staying at hotels, things like that. And you can change those numbers and get different answers. It's a calculator, so it just depends on, how much you put into each of those answers, and you can come up with a different equation.
Gotcha. And so we were looking at like a family of 4 would be about $800 for an event. So where these figures or this data come from?
Yeah, so this is a calculator from the New Mexico Tourism Department. And so that's where I got it. And
For sure. Gotcha. All right. Thank you. Looking through the questions here. Do you by chance know how many people attended the 30 events in total, or like an average per event?
I don't have an average per event, but it was everything in between. Some of the events were really small, about 20, and then we had events with 5,000 people. So we had thousands of people come to these events throughout the year.
And is the venue set up as a nonprofit?
It is not that I know of. Jennifer would have to give you more information.
It is not set up as a nonprofit.
Awesome. All right. I'm still going through the questions here on the chat. Was Fish Fest the largest concert last year? And this is from Sally at the Elsinore. And then do you have any figures or revenue for that weekend?
I don't have the revenue for that weekend on hand. And I don't know if they're talking about the rental fees that we took or the revenue that they made as a venue. And I would say, yes, that was the largest weekend. So they do 2 back-to-back events, and they had 5,000 people a day, is what they've told me.
Gotcha. Yeah, and
I was there. It looked like it.
Perfect. Yeah, and Sally clarified that was for city revenue and expenses.
Yeah, and I just don't have that information on hand.
Gotcha. Perfect. All right. I don't see any other hands up. No other questions in the chat. Yeah, so I just had my question remaining, I think, unless I missed it. But just it's been a year. What sort of things did you learn, since this is a unique venue? So there are different ways to have to approach this. Is there anything that kind of came out from that first year of operating things that was maybe surprising?
Yeah, I think there are a couple takeaways I had. My biggest takeaway was really how inspiring it was to have so many people be positive and supportive within the community, and how much momentum and energy there is within our community for something like this. I've been in events for a long time, and I'm in it because I love it. I'm passionate about it. So getting to meet with different community members and see their eyes light up with all their big ideas and how they could possibly use this facility, that's been really exciting. And the more that I went through the year, the more that it became really exciting for me to be that platform for us as a local community, and make sure that we're giving every opportunity to our community members to maximize the use of the space as possible. So those were 2 really big things that I keep coming back to. I also, a big takeaway was how great the parks staff is. We had a really successful year and a lot of really pleased customers who had a great experience using the facility, and that's only due to incredible staff that we're really lucky to have here at the city. And I think that's an exception. that we have such great staff to help support a facility like this. And that's the park staff, the staff that are down there maintaining the rest of Riverfront Park. And so that was another huge takeaway for me. I had amazing staff support internally for the administration portion of it, because a lot of what needs to be done for this facility, the city doesn't have infrastructure in place for a facility specifically, but we have staff that work in finance. We have staff that do our desktop communications. And so being able to collaborate with these people to help build something new, that was really something I didn't expect to have so much support. And I've gotten incredible support from the staff at the city of Salem. So those are two big takeaways, is that the facility is able to operate and be so successful because it has the support it has from the city. And everybody's been able to adapt to it. So those are some of the main takeaways when you're asking me about my year of learning. I think another thing would have been at the beginning, I would have been less aware of what it truly means to have a venue inside the park and how much being in a park really impacts the venue and how you can utilize it. And there's definite benefits to it. And it's also just something you need to be aware of how you would possibly operate a venue within a park. They're just things to be aware of and make it really unique. That a certain level of knowledge will need to be passed on, to make sure that the successes continue.
Sure, and we're a little bit short on time now, but I did want to get to one question that I totally just missed on the chat, which is from Derek. And he just asked, what is being done to attract world-class talent, like you mentioned in your presentation?
Yeah, and some of this gets into the meat and potatoes of doing business for a venue, and really understanding what a promoter is and how you get promoters into a venue and what the industry does and how the industry operates. But the way that you're going to get that world-class talent is working with professionals who do that. And the professionals that do that, typically, they're going to be promoters. And so that comes back to establishing us as a reputable venue and making those relationships with these promoters so that they will want to use our facility and that they can bring their acts to our venue.
Gotcha, thanks. And Galen, do you have a quick question?
Oh, it sort of follows along on that. Are you working with Travel Salem in the marketing and in the development of customers like that?
We do have a great working relationship with Travel Salem, and we have been working with them on various aspects. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much for the presentation, Kathleen. We really appreciate you being here and walking us through the strategic plan. So yeah, thanks again.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night.
You as well. All right, let's go ahead, share the screen again. All right, so next up is just announcing the conflict of interest before we jump into the event applications. Is that correct, Chris, or is there something else ahead of that?
Nope, that's correct. Just any of those top board members, Cultural Tourism Promotion Advisory Board members that have any family members or work themselves for any of these organizations that have applications that we're reviewing today, please make that declaration known and which organization that you have connections with.
Hi, this is Omar. With Odyssey Collective would be for me.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think it's a conflict, Chris, but I figured I'd ask. But I know that Willamette University is represented here and I attend Willamette. Not quite a conflict?
No, I don't think so. Not quite.
But it's on the record now. So.
But it's on the record now. Yep.
All right. I don't think I hear any other conflicts of interest. Going once, going twice. All right, moving on. So we've got a few applications to review tonight, and scores are going to be due as soon as possible, really. So the more time that we provide Chris to be able to combine the figures and crunch on the numbers, I think just the higher quality output that we're going to receive back when we come back together again and meet in March. So we've got a deadline here of 2:15, but that is kind of a last minute sort of deadline. Ideally, we should be close, by now to scoring these applications, or at least scored quite a few of them by now. So that's what we're looking to achieve, is get these scores in as soon as possible here.
Also, let me know if you need the scoring spreadsheet again.
All right, thank you. All right, so first up, going a little bit out of order, and I'm not sure how you say it, Salem Senators?
Yes, that's correct. Salem Senators.
Senators, perfect. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So we've got you coming up first, and I don't have any questions, but I'll open it up to the floor. Chris, if you see anyone with their hands up, just call them out to ask for questions regarding the application. I'll slowly start scrolling. No questions?
They want to talk a little bit about the event?
Yeah, might as well.
This is the first time ever that Salem and Oregon has seen a next generation youth in harmony. And when we think about our youth, we realize that is our next generation. And everybody has an opportunity to sing. Salem Kaiser school districts are extremely strong, but there's not an organization that is just one welcomes everybody and is very inclusive. Some of our youngest members are 10 years old, and oldest is about 85. And you don't have to read music to be in the organization. We teach you everything. So we have a great time.
That does sound like a good time.
There's still hope for us yet.
That's right.
I really like this idea, especially in terms of building your long-term audience and people who understand the music. So good job.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Bob Cox. I am the president of the chorus, and just kind of want to give you a quick little background of who we are. We've been around since 1954. We're the oldest singing organization in the city of Salem, represented at international level. At 2002 and 2012, we sang at the World's Contest, and we're actually part of the hosting aspect of it too. We had members of our chorus that served on the leadership team with it. And in 2012, we were actually recognized as the 5th best barbershop chorus in the United States. Actually, in the world, we had contests that it was hosted in Portland, and we were very fortunate to be part of that. The chorus itself, as Kevin has said, we've had our youngest member is 10 and our oldest is in the 80s, soon approaching 90s. We're in a rebuilding phase right now, and we've just made an agreement with, or signed on an agreement with, the Salem YMCA to help build a youth chorus as part of our singing experiences and being able to share this program and 4-part harmony, not just in a barbershop style, but in a vast variety of different genres. So we sing songs of inspiration, patriotic songs, songs from the Broadway stage, movies, and good old-fashioned barbershop. But the thing that we really are excited about being able to use the funds for is being able to reach out to the community and put together a super next generation chorus. The city of Boise, Idaho, in the past 3 years have had over 600 young men and women involved in their program. Salem can do the same thing, and we've got a great leadership team here in Salem that's willing to help support this. We've got district leadership team that's involved with it and helping to support it also. So that's just kind of a brief overview of who we are and what we're doing, and some of the goals that we have set for ourselves for the future.
Awesome, fantastic. Thank you for that that background. It is another great great organization here in Salem. So it's good to see this expanding here. So
Thank you, Felipe.
Thank you.
yeah,
sir.
any questions regarding this application? Any feedback? All right, moving on. Thank you again for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, so the next up is Casa de la Cultura, which was from last month's applications. However, I don't think they were attending. So is anyone here representing this organization? Chris, have you seen anybody?
Yes, you're here.
Ah, fantastic, awesome. Do you mind telling us, because I know you have 2 events in there, correct?
Correct. So hi, my name is Paola Somoza. I'm the co-founder and vice president of Casa de la Cultura Tlanese. And I have here also
Neftali Somoza. I am part of international relationships here at Casa de la Cultura Tlanese.
And so we are a nonprofit organization located here in Salem, Oregon. We've been for a long time, more than 13 years established here in Salem, Oregon. And our focuses are promoting culture, and that's through dancing. We have our folklorico program that right now we have about 90 students currently, ages from 4 years old up to our oldest is 63 years old, and all the ages in between. And another thing, how we promote our culture, or part of our mission, is to promote it through cultural celebrations and cultural events. And Dia de Muertos is one of the biggest celebrations we have established here in Salem, Oregon. And it first started with doing a Dia de Muertos celebration with the families from our dance group. But we noticed that this had to be shared with the community and had to bring it the educational part as well. So we decided to open it up to the community, and we started our first Dia de Muertos at North Salem High School, and then from there we moved to McKay High School just because of the layout of the school. And so we've been doing it there for the past 9 years at McKay High School, and it's an event that it brings more than 1,000 people over from the whole community. We work with different cultural artists from different backgrounds and different cities. So we work with people that come from Portland, Eugene, from Seattle, from different parts of all here in Oregon. And we try to make this a full day. It's a 6-hour event, cultural event. And we have an altar where people can come and bring pictures of the loved ones and put it in the altar. We also have face painting activities. They can get to do their own Dia de Muertos piñata, cookie decorations, and other activities for the whole family. And we have a full day of entertainment where we have our dance group puts most of it. We have also done a Spanish play and presented it. And we also bring other artists to come and present their talent as well. We also have food, traditional food. We also give out free hot chocolate and pan dulce to the whole community. So it's a full day of activities and celebration. And it's basically celebrating our loved ones that have passed away, but this is a way of honoring them and keeping their memory alive.
Awesome, thank you. It is a beautiful event. I'm excited to see it continue to grow here. So thanks for joining us and providing us that very well articulated and concise. It's just really good for the different kinds of events that you're putting on for us here. So any questions from the board members for these 2 applications? And I'll scroll so you can see the second one here.
I thought they did a really nice job on the applications. I noticed that you had Oregon Cultural Trust as a place you were going to ask for funding for, which I think is a great idea. I'm putting in the chat for everybody, all the nonprofits, all the cultural nonprofits on the line. Oregon Cultural Trust is doing a series of conversations with other funders who do cultural grants. And I think that would be very valuable to sit in on. Unfortunately, they're not doing an in-person one in Salem, but they're doing an online one. So you can get lots of information about some of the other foundations that you might not even know exist, but would really like projects like yours.
Yes, we will definitely keep in touch, and we will reach out to them. And the other one that we applied for, it's a Wapango Huasteco contest. So here, Neff, he has been one of our original dancers from our dance group. We started the dance group 18 years ago, and at that age, he was like 3. He graduated from high school and wanted to pursue this. He felt very passionate and connected to his roots and to his cultural identity that he wanted to pursue this as a career. So he went to study and got a bachelor's degree in dancing and this specific folklorico dancing in Mexico City. And so now he came back and he's one of our dance teachers here with Casa de la Cultura Tlanese. And he was able, while he was down there in Mexico, he was able to participate in these contests of La Huasteca. And La Huasteca, it's a regional area in Mexico that is composed of 6 different states of Mexico. And they share the same style of music, but each state has its own different costumes. And as you can see in the picture, the costumes vary depending on the state and on the region. So our organization has been working a lot with cultural institutes in Mexico. And so this big project that we're trying to do is do an international cultural exchange. And what we're trying to host this same contest, but here in Salem, Oregon. And we're working right now with 3 trios. So 2 trios, which are the music is composed of 3 musicians, and they have already accepted the invitation. So one of them is going to be traveling from Veracruz, Mexico, and the other one will be traveling from Mexico City, and they're going to be coming and playing the live music for the dancers. And we're also right now have inviting 6 different teachers that are going to be coming and giving workshops to our community and to our dancers. And also we have invited other folklorico groups from the region, and not just the region from Oregon, but we have invited people from Washington, California, and Texas to come and take part of these workshops. And also with the hope that in August, our goal is that in August we get to host our first Wapango competition here in Oregon, which is something that it has never been done to our community, and also it has never been done here in the Northwest. So we would be the first folklorico and cultural group to perform or to elaborate something like this. And so we are so excited because it's something that in Mexico, it's very, very traditional, and something that it's, these type of celebrations, it's like a 3-day thing nonstop, day and night, where the musicians and dancers get to dance, and it's all ages, and it's a big celebration, and it's just with food and different artisans coming in. And so that's what we want to bring here to Oregon, and also to bring more tourists to visit our beautiful city here in Salem. So that's the whole concept with the Wapango contest that we're working on right now.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I actually had a really good time reading about this. I've never heard of this. So I got a chance to kind of look at some videos and do some of the homework on this and do my best to find some pictures. So
yes. And that right now that you're seeing, that the lady with the colorful, the red, we're having our first teacher coming in, and he specializes. He's from that state, that's San Luis Potosí in Mexico. He's coming in March to give a workshop to teach us that specific style of dancing. So we would like to invite anybody who would like to come and learn, to head just go to our Instagram and Facebook page, and you can find more information. So we're trying to bring the most authentic, music and teachers that can share this cultural piece with us.
awesome. Thank you. Great. Is there any other questions for either of these applications?
And we just wanted to say our goal was we were looking at maybe going and checking out the amphitheater, the Frank Amphitheater, to host this type of event, because we're planning to do it in the summer, and I think it would be a good opportunity to do it there in the summer. So we're going to be checking that out.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, so I think we'll go ahead and move on to the next event application here for the Festival Chorale Oregon, requesting $10,000. Are there any questions on their application, or would anyone representing Festival Chorale like to kind of briefly talk about this event?
Sure. Thank you, Felipe. Brian Gonzalez. I'm president of Festival Corral. We always appreciate the board considering our requests and supporting many of our past performances. The Stabat Mater performance would be next April of 24. It would be the second main concert in our 45th season. So we're very excited to be achieving that milestone. The concert is one of our kind of typical choral masterwork performances. We're still building back our own choral membership, but certainly are excited to be back performing live and together. This particular performance would have 4 professional soloists, as well as about 42 orchestra members joining the chorale for the performance. Happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Awesome. Thank you for that overview. No questions for me. Galen, go ahead.
I just had a question, a very well done application. And I noticed you had some really good demographics for your audience. Can you tell us how you get those?
Absolutely, and that is a tool that we've shared with Chris, and we are happy to have that shared with other organizations. We really have a two-pronged approach to getting those demographics. So when we talk about audience demographics particularly, we have a little paper printed half-page survey that we actually hand out at all of our performances. The survey, full disclosure, is one that that I developed, but based on similar surveys that I've received as a patron of other organizations in the Portland area. It's designed to collect demographics in a number of different areas and is designed so that people can even just tear it in order to indicate their response. So it's trying to be a very kind of accessible tool in order to collect. And, you know, we've been using that, I want to say, since about 2018 to collect information from our audiences and really have a great response rate. I do surveying and communications work in my day-to-day professional job as well. And, you know, we would never look to have a 40 to 50% response rate for surveys, but that is what we typically experience with our audiences. To further that, I do actually specifically address and call attention to it in my opening remarks at the concert and explain what the value of responding is to our organization and how it enables us to pursue grant funding in particular. So that is something that, again, we've shared with Chris and are happy for that to be shared with other organizations as a starting point for them as well.
Thank you so much.
Wow, 50% response rate. Yeah, thanks for sharing that strategy. I think it's definitely effective. All right, any other questions for Brian? All right, thank you, Brian. Our next application is the Oregon State Capitol Foundation requesting money for their Cherry Blossom Day. Probably one of my favorite events. Just really love, I actually really enjoy just the leaves all over the place. So it's a beautiful color. Anyone representing the foundation that would like to talk a little bit about the event?
Yes, this is Genoa Ingram, and I can be very, very brief. You've seen these applications from year to year. What I'm excited about sharing with you is how it's growing. I just want to touch on just 3 areas: the program, the costs, what we plan to use the grant for, and then the attendance, which is just very surprising in its growth factor. So the programs, as you know, if you've attended already, there's the cultural dance, there's the kimono fashion show, which is just beautiful, martial arts demonstrations. And these are programs that take place in front of the Capitol, and they're scheduled. And then there are also booths that are set out around that have face paintings and calligraphy and, you know, all sorts of things that involve the visitors to actually do rather than just watch. And then the cost obviously is going to be with regard to bringing in the tents for the booths, the ADA restrooms. There is a stipend that's paid for some of the groups that come in to perform, and those stipends are based on the number of individuals that are participating. And then the thing that I can't wait to talk to you about that I got really excited about was the Yasakura display, and it was kind of a blessing in disguise. Last year, we were a little bit disappointed because we had applied for the grant, we received it, and then because of COVID, we weren't able to go forward with the in-person event, with the exception of the Yazakura, which is a nighttime viewing of the cherry blossoms. And we ended up getting about 1,300 attendees on that one evening. So next year, what Visitor Services is looking at, and they are our partners, they do the planning and we sponsor them. But what they're looking at doing is all 7 days, all 7 days will be an evening display, and there'll be the Japanese lanterns, and it was very well attended just on that one night. They're anticipating between 3,000 and 5,000 attendees next year, just based on that one night turnout, which was very, very popular. The Oregon State Capitol Foundation, again, it was kind of a spur of the moment that this was going to be the really only in-person event. And we bought blankets to pass out to the attendees, and everyone spread those out on the lawn, and they had their meal, and it was just beautiful. And then they did return the blankets, which I thought was interesting. We got all of them back but one, so that we can have those cleaned and use them again. But it was a big hit, and it really gives you an opportunity to showcase what I consider the crown jewel of Salem, which is our beautiful, beautiful state capitol building. And thank you so much. I'm happy to answer questions if you like.
Fantastic. Thank you. Galen, go ahead. I see your hand up.
Oh, I was just going to say, I went last year. It is a beautiful site with the lanterns. Such a great idea. And I do think there might be ways for you guys not to charge people to get in, but certainly have hot chocolate or something there to sell, so that you are making some revenue to cover your costs. Having 3,000 people through the door, I think, is great. And I'm sure they'd love to even contribute if you had like t-shirts or something. People want to contribute.
Thank you. I like that too. And it's funny because it was kind of a spur of the moment, really. We thought, oh, we're going to have this in-person event, and then all of a sudden, no, we can't. But if we moved it outdoors and had the nighttime viewing, then that worked out just beautifully. And thank you for those suggestions. I'll take those back.
Yeah, thank you so much, Galen. Perfect. Any other questions? All right. It's great to hear that something that was unfortunate turned into a really great opportunity. So I think that's what you're looking to do whenever you're kind of handed lemons, right? All right. Next up is Salem Main Street Association with the Downtown Salem Winter Celebration. Do we have anyone representing the Salem Main Street?
Yeah, my name is Derek Gilbert. I'm with the Salem Main Street Association. I'm a board member. Thanks for the consideration tonight. I too will try and keep it somewhat brief. Last year, we brought back Christmas downtown. There had been a void of a parade for some time. We tried to light up downtown. The event had several intents and purposes. From a business standpoint, downtown's been pretty beat up over the last few years with COVID, with protests, with everything. We found a study from Andersonville, Chicago that said for every $100 spent, if it's spent at a box store, $43 goes back to the community, but if it's spent locally, $68. So really trying to come alongside our downtown businesses and try and revitalize, bring energy back to downtown. And then also selfishly trying to make downtown feel like a living room around Christmas. So we had the official highlights from last year. We had over 40 volunteers, over 200 hours in addition to all the board hours. We raised privately about $50,000, and we hung over 75,000 Christmas lights downtown and brought back the parade. So the vision for next year is to grow and expand, make it even more special. The money raised this year will be very different because we already got a lot of the fixed costs in place from all the lights from last year. We had very little loss of those. So we'd like to expand that. We'd like to expand the parade. The estimates from last year were 6,000 to 7,000 people came downtown just the night of the parade. So if you were there, we appreciate it. It was a ton of fun. And with these dollars, we'd like to continue growing and expanding the event and make it even more special. You can mark your calendars. We have our first meeting in 2 weeks. We started meeting almost the week after the last event. So Small Business Saturday of 2023, that is when the parade will be next year. And then we'll have the lights up throughout the holiday season as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Derek. And I love this. It was a great application. I think it's a great use of time, and it goes for a great cause. So I think you're right on the money with kind of making this feel like a living room and making it feel just bright and happy, and hopefully people out there spending money. So great work. Thank you. Any questions on this application? Any comments?
I thought it was a great compilation of donors that they had. And that's always good to see that our 10,000 would be matched by other donors.
Yeah. Yeah, it was probably one of the most fun nonprofit events I've done because everybody was in support, everybody was fun. And Galen, to your point, the sources were very, very diverse, and we love that.
It's definitely odd because I don't know. For me, like, I'm not a big fan of hanging up Christmas lights, but it kind of seems like it's the opposite when it's for like charity. So
I would not. I'd be lying if I said when I got to actually hanging the Christmas lights on my house, I was a little fatigued because we were downtown many days. A lot of people gave a lot of hours, so there was just our board, but with all the volunteers, it was mind blowing how much support we had financially and just people hours to pull this thing off.
Fantastic. Awesome. All right. Hearing no questions, we'll go ahead and keep moving on. All right. Next up is the Salem Public Library Foundation with their Salem Reads program. Is anyone representing the Salem Public Library that would like to speak about the program?
Yes, I'm Kate Van Emerson, and I'm the executive director of the Salem Public Library Foundation. And we're the organization that puts on Salem Reads in collaboration with the Salem Public Library. This year is right now is February is Salem Reads Month. And we're right in the middle of programming. We have Oregon Humanities Conversation Projects. We have book discussion groups. We have lectures. Last night we had a lecture on restorative justice. We have a display in the library of questions that are asked on the citizenship test to help people understand that maybe not all of us who are naturalized citizens would be able to necessarily answer all those questions. We chose the book this year is Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. And it's a story of his life growing up in South Africa under apartheid. His father was white, his mother was Black. And so his being born was a crime. And so there are a lot of interesting aspects of that story to put into programming and make part of a public conversation about things that are important to our community. So we'll be continuing with that programming through February. We're also in the process of choosing a couple of book titles for next year for the 2024 season. And we're focusing on fiction and Hispanic authors this year. So we'll put that to a public vote in April. We have good sponsorship from local businesses. The TOT funding helps us with advertising, and the library puts a lot of effort with staff time into it, and then I manage the project. So I thank you for your past support of our program, and it means a lot to the community, and it means a lot to our civic engagement, and I'd be happy to answer other questions.
Great, thank you for that information. And I just wanted to say that I really appreciate just how hard you work to choose diverse books and kind of get all the different angles on everything. So that's something I definitely noticed from looking at your Facebook page and some of the books that you've chosen. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any questions? Anyone have their hand up? Any feedback?
I make this joke every year, how I think this is our one event for the introverts. And I really, as a reader, I totally appreciate this. And also the amount of peripheral events you have around this, the lectures and everything. It's amazing that you get that much done for just this small amount of money. So good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome, great feedback. All right, hearing no questions, seeing no hands, we'll just keep on moving through this. Next up is Willamette Master Chorus, looking for funding for their winter concert series and their veterans concert series. So is anyone here from Willamette Master Chorus that would like to just briefly give us a rundown of these different applications?
Sure. My name is Jessica Carpenter. I'm the current administrator for the Willamette Master Chorus. So we did submit 2 grant applications for our 23-24 season. The season will have 4 concerts, and we selected these 2 concerts because they're going to have a heavy amount of youth engagement, and we expect that we're going to get friends and family from out of town, and maybe a little more tourism related to these concerts. The funding would be used to help with extra music expense. We expect to have anywhere from 40 to 70 extra youth choir members joining us for each of those concerts. We also make it part of our mission to collaborate with guest musicians, and that means paying them, not asking our gigging musicians to donate their time. So we find that to be a priority. And then we also provide some discounts for the families of the youth to make sure that they can attend the concerts. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those. We've applied before. We really appreciate the support, and we would appreciate it again.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, no questions from me. I've seen this application a few times now, so yeah.
I have a question. I noticed you had 9,000 for marketing, which seemed like a lot. Is that, can you tell us what that goes into that?
So let me take a look at my grant application. Was it 9,000 total for the?
Oh, I'm just in the veterans concert budget right now.
Gotcha. Let me just pull that up so I can refresh my memory. We do radio advertising. We do print ad in newspapers. We have really transitioned to a lot of social media advertising. Sorry, I'm trying to just look here at my application. So in my text, I have an estimated of 2,500 would be used for print ads, online ads, concert posters, social media, and radio advertising.
Huh. Maybe I'm just on line 36 of the budget. Maybe it's not. I could be wrong.
Okay, and I can't see that right now from what I'm looking at. So
no worries. It might just be
it's usually about 9,000 or 10,000 total for our season. So we usually spend about 2,500 per concert is kind of our estimate. And sometimes that's, one ad that we run for the whole season. That's a larger expense, but
that makes
usually 9 to 10 total.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Thanks for looking that up.
Sure.
And I do like the idea of bringing youth in to be performers as a way to build your audience as well, because you're right, they will bring their families, and the family will get used to coming to your concerts.
Yeah, we love having the youth involved. We always have an honor choir with our veterans concert in the fall, but we will be also doing it with the winter concert, and that will be younger students all the way down to like age 9. So we had some this year. It was quite a blast. We loved having them alongside our chorus.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions regarding the budget or the application? Any other feedback? All right, moving on to the next one. We've got Willamette University's Theater 33. They are looking for funding for their 2023 Summer New Play Festival. Is anyone here from Theater 33 that would like to give us a rundown briefly?
Didn't we talk to them already? I could be wrong.
I think that was the Senators.
No, I mean in a previous meeting.
Oh. I don't know, Chris, am I wrong on this one? Putting this one in there?
I could be confusing it with my Marion County Development Board.
You're too busy.
We also had grants from them, so I could be totally wrong.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we'll just go ahead and talk about them though, and see if there's any questions or Any comments, anything at all?
I see Tom. We just can't hear you.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Can hear you, yes.
Oh, thank goodness. I'm Thomas Naban, Executive Director of Theater 33 at Willamette University. We are a new play development company that exclusively produces new plays by Oregon and Northwest playwrights. We have now, this is our 10th summer festival coming up. And we have to date produced 37 new plays by 28 different playwrights, 20 of them Oregonians. We have a really unique play development creative process where that we actually help these playwrights develop their plays. One of the greatest challenges for a playwright is to get a new play developed. Not many companies do what we do. And the service we provide is really great for them. We when we choose our season, we assign a professional writer called a dramaturg to each playwright, and they start collaborating on the script. When rehearsals start, we lodge the playwright in Salem so they can attend all of the rehearsals and performances. They engage in extensive rewrites throughout rehearsals. And we're a professional company, so we're professional artists, so they're seeing their play on its feet for the first time. And that inspires them to do lots of rewrites, and that's how we help develop the play. They also go to all the performances, and we have audience talkbacks after each performance. So they get all of this really valuable feedback from artists, from company members, from our dramaturg, et cetera. And once they leave our festival, their play is either then finished or much closer to being finished. And of the 37 plays we've done, 11 have been completed and world premiered by other companies in 8 cities across the country. So we provide a really great service for playwrights. We also, we pay all artists, and we employ artists from all over the state. We provide paid student internships to high school and university students. To date, we have provided 102. Also part of the festival is a high school playwriting course, which is taught by a professional playwright. So we target rural and underserved high schools throughout the state. And we look for high schools that really lack, art education. Some don't have even drama departments. And so these students are able to take this course, and we provide full scholarships for them. And it's just a wonderful way for them to develop their creative voices, get outlets, learn about writing. And so we've to date provided we're having our fourth annual course this summer. And the way we incorporate it into the festival is it's a 10-week course, and we have 2 extra sessions where we Zoom the students into a live rehearsal with one of the playwrights at our summer festival. And we also Zoom them into a performance and a talk back with the playwright talking to the audience. So that shows them the dynamics at play in those experiences. So this, and we've been expanding every year. This summer, in 2021, we doubled the number of plays we're doing. And so this summer we're doing 6 productions and the playwriting course. And we are also engaging in something new this season as well. The idea is that we want to become a regional festival. And we're following the model of several other companies throughout the country who have done this and been very successful. Oregon Shakespeare did this. They were embedded at Southern University in Ashland. There are other companies that have been part of a university to help them build the festival. And it's really important to have a university on board because You need a lot of different facilities on the university to accommodate all the activities we plan to have. We not only plan to, in the future, have, of course, the new plays that we're developing. We're also going to have education and adult writing workshops. I just met with the provost of Willamette University, and there's ideas of expanding to include visual art displays, possibly new film aspect to it as well. And as the festival grows and capacity comes an issue, we can expand beyond the university because we can use theaters in downtown Salem, and also the campus that Willamette University purchased in Portland. The festival could expand up there as well into that campus, the PNCA campus. We did a survey last year, the American Arts Survey, and we have surveyed our audience before, and we were kind of surprised with the numbers that we found, that so many people were traveling already more than 50 miles to our festival. Now, as I say, we want to build to a regional destination festival, and we're going to start that process this year by spending $10,000 on OPB radio advertising to brand our festival throughout Oregon and the Northwest. And we plan to do that for 2023 and 2024, which is going to lead to our official regional opening in 2025. We already have the plan in place. I think I outlined it in the application about the plan, how we are going to technically kick off the full regional festival. But that's not to say that we're not getting folks right now who are traveling to see our productions. We have a reach throughout the Northwest right now because many of the actors we hire are from all over the Northwest. The playwrights we produce are from all over the Northwest. So the word about us is getting out just that way without any regional marketing right now. And still 26% of our audience is coming more than 50 miles. So we really feel when we start robustly advertising regionally with OPB, and OPB is our ideal target audience. When we start doing that, we think we're gonna really accelerate the number of people who come to the festival and spend tourist dollars and stay overnight in hotels. And so, the idea is to, if I could just close up this way, Oregon Shakespeare has 450,000 people come to their festival every year. Now, I'm not saying we're going to be an Oregon Shakespeare Festival, okay? But I think it's very reasonable that we could be 1/10 of that. And 45,000 people over the summer would be a significant number of tourists coming into Salem. And so we're starting to build that right now in 2023 with branding our festival.
Fantastic. It just sounds like a great plan, and a lot of great things going on. And I'm obviously biased because I go to Willamette University, but it's a fantastic place.
It is. I love the university, and it's very exciting. The university is very excited about what we're doing. They asked us to become part of the university last year because they believe in our mission, how we're, and one more thing, our attendance for our festival is donation based. We do not charge a ticketed price. And we do that because we want to be inclusive to youth, lower income, and underserved communities. And so that choice that we've made also has a little funding gap because most theaters, 50% of the revenue comes from tickets. Ours is about 22% because we choose not to charge what we should be charging. In fact, if you want to come to our festival, you can come for free. And so we make up that money from with other means, and through 9 seasons, we've always been in the black. We've never suffered a deficit even during COVID, and we're really excited about building this festival, and we consider we would very much love the city's help because we think as the faster we can get to really growing this festival, the better it's going to be for everybody, for the city, to get revenue coming back in, et cetera. So we hope the city will partner with us.
I agree. I think it's a great program. I love the educational components that you've put into this to just kind of keep growing skills and keep growing that, that community. So great. Thanks
Well,
for the.
since we help playwrights develop their plays, that we would help develop the next generation of Oregon playwrights and high school students.
Exactly. Perfect. So any questions regarding the information that you all heard in the application?
I think I have a technical question for Chris. They are not a 501c3. Are they allowed to apply in this bracket? They're a 509 because they're an educational entity.
They're part of the university. We've allowed other organizations within the university. Hallie Ford Museum, example.
Hallie Ford's its own 501c3 though.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, I would just, if you could, not right now, of course, but just look up our rules. I don't know what our language is like on that.
501c3, C4, and 06s are the ones that are listed.
They would probably be a 509 if they're according to their letter they put in.
I thought on their IRS letter, it was stated as a 501, Willamette's.
Yeah, but it's not a 501c3, it's a 509. Chris can look it up offline. It's probably not a big deal.
Gotcha. Good catch though. All right. I see Chris jotting a note down, so we'll keep going. So now we're on to the non-501c event grants. And we'll go ahead and start with Odyssey Collective. Omar, are you still here? You mind giving us a brief on this?
Yeah, I could give a briefing. So Odyssey Collective is our collective of artists and musicians that I have with a team of partners. Sorry, I got my son here with me. Y'all bear with me. But it's my team of partners. We all work around the realm of art and music. Usually has to do with different types of art that usually isn't represented. I'm talking about electronic music art or electronic music, DJ-based music, hip hop music, graffiti art, digital art, and 3D art. Again, things that aren't really usually seen, at least from that we've our experience in our community, we don't see too often. So we just kind of want to create a platform so that we could create that opportunity here for us, of course, but also for like-minded artists as well, and community members who also like those same types of music and art as well. That's a quick gist about our organization. We've been around officially for like about 3 years, but we've been doing it unofficially for about 6 years or so. We just love music and art so much. We just really just want to create more spaces for other artists such as ourselves.
Love that. Awesome. Thank you, Omar, for that brief. Any questions for RSC Collective from the group, from the board, other than Omar? All right. Next up is Sasquatch Sports with their Capital City Classic. Is anyone here? I see you, Chris.
Yes, Chris Roach. I'm the tournament director of the Capital City Classic. This was our 8th year this past year in December, and we had our best event ever. It's grown over the years. We started as just a boys' high school tournament before Christmas time when it's kind of quiet around town, and it was something that was very well received. And the idea was to have out-of-state teams, a handful of those, and then Salem teams and teams from all over Oregon involved. That took off very well. And then we added a girls bracket a year ago, and we grew that last year. This past December, that went up to 8 teams, and then we have a youth tournament as well. It has over 100 teams in it now. So altogether, it spans 11 days in December. We're hosting, games at Willamette University across 6 days, all day long going. Corbin University for 3 days, and then 5 Salem high schools are where the youth event is played. To give you an idea of the magnitude of the event, the high school boys event, which is our oldest and most mature element of this, it had over 20,000 fans this past year. We had at our championship game, Willamette University was just packed. There was a few seats, but it was pretty close to standing room only, which was really exciting for us. We had a big out-of-state power, St. John Bosco from California, who was playing an Oregon team, West Lynn. We did have a Salem team. West Salem played for third, but didn't quite make the championship game. But it was very exciting, and it's been fun to watch it grow, to include girls, to include youth, and we're really pushing on all those fronts. Our girls event, we're pushing to get it to the size of our boys event. It's not there yet, but we're making progress that way. One of the things that, as I've listened to other organizations talk about the things they're doing, we have a great deal of media involved with our event. We market it pretty heavy, but almost all of our media is traded. So I think our budget said $38,000 for this upcoming next year. But the amount we actually received in trade was over $50,000. And some of that was from Portland media concerns. So like Rip City Radio, which is iHeartMedia in Portland, OregonLive.com, Lamar, which has Salem, but also extends up the I-5 corridor. So we're leveraging some traded assets to promote Salem and to promote our event and throughout the state. So for us, it's been great. What we've done where you have helped us, which has been a great help, is bringing in help us pay some of the expenses to bring in these teams from out of state. And I think this past year you helped us bring in Modesto Christian, which was a tremendous team. That helps attract fans to the event. We have a great number that are coming from all over the state now. We get quite a few fans from out of state as well. So it's been really fun. We really appreciate your help and appreciate you considering our request for this year as well.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, that's all great information. This is probably another one of my favorite events, just seeing the growth in sports and what it can do for the city here. So thanks for being here and giving us that rundown.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any questions for Chris regarding Sasquatch Sports Capital City Showcase? Any feedback?
Does Travel Salem help you with the marketing?
We work with Travel Salem quite a bit. They do. What they've helped us with mostly has been, just when we do a press release, we'll send it to them and they help us with that. But we work with Kara over there a little bit. We've worked with, we love the new sports guy, Ryan is great. And he was just getting started. So he got to see our event and he came and was at the tournament quite a bit, which will be helpful for us going forward, I think. They've had quite a bit of transition with that sports role. And so I think getting our footing with them, they've been great with us. We really enjoy them. But I think it'll be a partnership that we can leverage even more going forward because I think Ryan is really good. And I think he's going to, get some roots here in town and it'll give us an opportunity to grow that.
Yeah, it seems like you have a lot of potential. I was looking at your application really describes that model, which I knew nothing of bringing in big teams in order to attract other teams and to attract fans. So it seems like that's right up Travel Salem's alley in promoting sports.
It really is. They're doing it kind of on a different level. They're doing the same thing kind of with events, but we're doing it down at the team level within our event. But he's been very helpful and he's really working on making relationships, throughout the state. And we met the other day actually over at the fairgrounds. We were looking at the pavilion and some of the things they're doing there. And he was, working me for contacts. And so we're setting him up with people at the OSAA and OACA, some big statewide organizations. So I think he's doing the work behind the scenes to really lay the groundwork to be very effective in his role.
It's great to hear. Great question, Galen. Thank you. All right. If there's no other questions, I'll keep moving on here. Next up is Enlace with their Hispanic Month closing celebration. Do we have anyone from Enlace here?
Yeah, I'm here. My name is Amador. So I'm the director of Enlace Cross-Cultural Community Development Project. That is, this project is considered for many of our partners, community partners, as a nonprofit, but still we are working in a long process to get this status, because we really want to have that a strong concept of the nonprofit, but we got the name. So the name is Guelaguetza Intercultural Latino Partnership Program. So even that we are a company that offer after-school program through education, art, and culture, that is music, dance, and technology for low-income families, serving schools, churches. We realize that we have a lot of needs to learn how to collaborate from the groundwork. So we are starting this concept of the Hispanic Heritage Month closing celebration, and closing celebration because several of the organizations, many organizations invite us to be part of their events. But our families, they wanted to have or build their own celebration, but under celebrate the collaboration and the impact that we have during the years. So we create this concept, I remember 5 years ago with the city of Salem, in which it was Hispanic Heritage closing celebration with the title City of Salem Open House. So we are very happy how we impact, because yesterday it was a big event from City of Salem, the 50 plus, sharing the resources from the city. And this was the concept that we worked together long time ago, 5 years ago. So the City of Salem, different departments are working, we are working with them in collaboration, but they are part of us and we are part of them. So that is the celebration that we want to do. It's not just with the city, it's with organizations, with the schools, with any neighbor, even neighbors. So we need to recognize the work that the neighbors are doing. And sometimes they are, the big events, they don't have time to see the work that people are doing in their neighborhood. And we want to bring this into this celebration and say, this is the people also are impacting our community. So we have doing this for almost 4-5 years. So the second one, it was with in collaboration at the City Salem site. So right now we are doing this with at the East Salem Community Center site. So it's a nice place. So we invite, last year we invited different organizations from Portland, Vancouver, Eugene. And also we invite leaders like Teresa Alonso, the state representative, the mayor of the city, that actually is the mayor now. So also different counselors. So the idea is to bring the people together, learn about how to collaborate together and impact the community. So that's the reason why we are asking to you guys, and thank you so much for the past years for that support. And we are connecting with businesses also. So from last year, we connect the concept of kermés. So that is the business part, how we can include another concept of a tradition from Mexico to promote community development, to support businesses, to promote them. And it's not just during the event that we want to work with them, it's through the whole year. So we are in connection with them. So this celebration gives us the opportunity to get together and to promote how we are working together in the community.
Fantastic, thank you. Yeah, this is one thing I did notice is this year's application was very good compared to the one I saw before. So I think the improvements to that was really great to see. I'm excited for another year of this event. I think it's important to kind of collaborate. And like you say, spotlight neighbors. It's just any acts of good, of working together. So thank you, Amador, for that brief.
Thank you.
All right, any questions?
I love the concept of bringing the community together at the end of Hispanic Heritage Month. I think that's really a nice closing for the month.
I agree. It's different, a different way to approach it, and I think it's a really smart way to do it, is to go from that angle. So I like that. All right. Moving on here. Next one is Press Play Salem for their publication that promotes the city and all the various events and things going on. So I'm not sure if we have Carly here, but if there's any questions, any comments, any feedback. See, I will say though that it's such a well done magazine. When I first moved here, it was one of the first things I picked up, and it was kind of what really introduced me to the city. So, and I think it was a really good first thing to see because it just was so lively and colorful. So I like funding this one. I think this is a really good use of funds. All right. Hearing no questions, no feedback. Moving on here. We got Salem on the Edge with their invitational art show. Do we have anyone from Salem on the Edge? I see
Yes.
Melanie.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about this?
Yes. Thank you so much for finding some photos to put up. That's actually not the plein air show, but that's great for my website. Thank you.
I did my best.
Yeah, it's great. So the plein air show happens in August. This will be our third one. I'm so thankful for the grant last year because it helped with media. So I got posters and cards done. So I could put the posters around town. A lot of people heard about the plein air show because of the posters. I printed out cards people could take from the gallery, and I would also give them to the artists to send out to their contacts. So we got a lot more people involved. Last year I had the artists. So the plein air invitational is that I'm inviting plein air artists from around Oregon to come to Salem. I have a show. They put in one piece and then they come back on Saturday after the show opens, which is usually on a Wednesday. They come to Salem and they go out and paint in the community. The first year they just went to Riverfront Park. Last year they went to Riverfront Park downtown and also to the Capitol grounds. And then I have a reception that evening with the artist's wet painting that I actually hang on the wall. So the paintings that the artists have, that they've gone out and painted that day, I hang. So they're still wet. People see them painting, they go up and ask them questions. I get people coming into the gallery who saw them painting and heard about the event. It's just a great way for people to see artists' work, because I think a lot of people think they're just in their studios all the time and they don't kind of know what that looks like. And plein air artists go out and they paint outside. That's what they do. They have these small easels that they set up, and they're usually very friendly. I'm sure there's some plein air artists that aren't, but they're very receptive to people coming up and asking them questions. And people are really curious. They love it. Also last year, I was able to go out and actually look for my artists that I had around because I could pay for someone to be in the gallery so that I didn't have to stay there and not be able to go out and talk with the artist. And even when I was doing that, people were just constantly stopping and talking to them. It's just great to see. I love it. I think it's really important that people get to see what an artist looks like when they're actually creating a piece of artwork.
I agree. I love this too, and I think it's nice to kind of break that barrier down, so you can see the process and see a little bit of the struggle too. That it is
Right.
to create this
Yeah.
art.
Exactly. Right. Yes.
Awesome. So, are there any other questions or any comments? Any feedback? All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I think this might be our last one. Yep. Our last one is the Kaiser Salem Youth Basketball Association for their Oregon State tournament. Do we have anyone here from the Youth Basketball Association?
Yes, you do. Lloyd Foley's here. Thank you guys so much for having us. Can you hear me okay, sir?
I can hear you. Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Perfect, perfect. Again, I'll apologize. We were scheduled to come last time, and for some reason, Chris's emails will go into my junk, but that was all on me. So apologies for missing our last call up to this. But we're excited to be back for the second year in a row. And the support that we got last year from you all was very, very beneficial. This actually goes towards the state tournament. And maybe I'll shed a little bit of history in here. Previously in the youth scene, and the youth scene has usually seen its state tournament that gets played between the leagues get played between the back end of September all the way into the February window. And I've seen that go to Bend. And in 2023, which is 2022, last year, we actually decided to go and compete with the city of Bend and look to bring one into down here into the city of Salem. The response was amazing. We had a massive turn-up of teams. We had 108 girls teams show up for the state tournament. And on the boys side, the teams were somewhere in the 200s in there, which is a significant number. Actually, most of those teams and more are returning this year. The girls tournament is actually at the last weekend here in February. So if you guys are ever bored, please come down to the Capitol Fieldhouse that last weekend in February, and you would see a packed venue. We average around 4,000 people through the facility during that weekend. And then the very next weekend is the boys state tournament that we host. The funds you guys have given us is we have used them for marketing and management on the day itself, because it's significant to be able to manage that level of event. And we're only seeing it growing. The feedback has been amazing. So, and I think I need to also get you guys a picture of actually the facility that the nonprofit uses here, but that's more on that. So I'll pause there if there are any questions. And I know sports is usually one of those areas where we need to shed a little bit more light to as we look into Salem. But the funds you guys gave us last year did an amazing job helping us grow not only the footprint of this tournament, but actually the ability for youth and underprivileged youth to actually access sports here in Salem. So I'll be open up for questions.
Great. Yeah, thank you for that. Let's see, I don't have any questions. Anybody up? Galen, go ahead. See your hand up.
I have a question on the budget. Do you have that in front of you?
Unfortunately, I don't have it directly in front of me, but I know we turned one in. I don't know if you guys have it, but if you do have one, feel free. I think I can remember it. And if worst case, Liz is on the line with me, we could work some magic in. Go ahead.
Okay, I was curious. You have about a $228,000 profit on the event, according to your revenues and your expenses. So you say you're going to. Oh, go ahead.
So what we do when we show those is actually for all of our full number of tournaments we bring out throughout the year in there. And Liz, you're on the line. If you want to pop up in here, feel free to. I believe that number is we show our gross profits that we show in there, but we have not potentially taken out a lot of our overhead and coaches. There's a lot of those fit into the contracting realm that we hire for the coaches to actually come coach these teams. Does that make sense, ma'am?
So, yeah, the budget should be an event budget. Maybe you can take a look at it and get it back to us.
Okay.
Because with such a large profit showing, I am not likely to prioritize yours over a smaller nonprofit that doesn't have the ability to generate that much in funds. So if you can get specifics on that, that would be helpful. It should be an event budget.
Yes, I think we can do that. And I think that's just a great clarification we need, that we can show for the specific event, for example, this weekend coming, with all of the costs that inquires. It's definitely not that number, because if it's that number, I would definitely not be here looking for some support. So I can definitely clarify that, and we'll get that back out to you guys here by the end of Friday.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great, thanks so much. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Lloyd, for that short brief on the event.
Thank you so much. Thank you all so much for the help.
You got it. All right, and that concludes the event grants. Chris, did you, I didn't have a list in front of me. Is there anyone that we missed or anything that needs to be discussed regarding the events before we move on?
Nope, I think that's everyone that I had on the list. So I think we're good to go.
And last time you checked in with us, there was no report yet for the fund. Is that still correct?
Correct. So the timing just doesn't align with everything. So the month of February, the reports for December. So December activity is paid for or paid in the month of January. January just ended last week on, what is it, Tuesday? And the accounting hasn't been able to close the books after 5 business days. So we just barely, today's like the 5th business day or 6th business day since the end of the month. So there wasn't enough time to get that put together and put into the agenda packet.
No worries, fair enough.
So next month we'll have that for December data that was received in January.
Awesome. All right. Let's see. We did have some facility and event reports. We've only got 10 minutes, so I kind of wanted to make sure we have time to talk about the American for Arts and any parking lot items. So I'll just direct you to the agenda packet to see those figures and get those reports for those various events that have happened here. And speaking of events, so we still got the Americans for Arts survey going on here, and the next meeting of the group is going to be on February 27th. This calendar should be pretty up to date with most of the events. Still looking for help collecting surveys, and just whatever you can do to help us reach our goal. So I'm going to be creating some artwork for the Elsinore. I heard back from Elizabeth just right before we jump on this meeting. So I'm going to be hopefully developing some graphics that can maybe help us kind of close that gap with the surveys. But we have plenty of other opportunities. So Chris, is there anything else you wanted to share for this American for the Arts?
Yeah, so just a brief update from the January meeting for the Americans for the Arts and the Oregon Tourism Commission. They've actually extended the survey date from April 30th to May 31st, so we get an extra month.
We're not the only ones probably who are behind.
Probably not. I mean, probably not if they're going to be extending the time frame. So that is very helpful. But yes, we still need to get as many of our organizations and events that are taking place between now and then, the end of May, to get those on our calendars and to get the information out to the organization so that way they can get their volunteers in order for collecting those surveys. We're asking all of the facility operators to have those surveys available for those people that come in and visit the actual physical locations for those facilities, and their target should be at least 50 surveys being submitted. So we're hoping that'll take place between now and the end of May as well.
What's our number right now, Chris?
We're at 400. So
hey,
we're
gotta get on it.
Yeah, we're shortly. We need 800 as the target goal. So we're short just a little bit. We're on the lower side. We're looking for more of the cultural BIPOC and Alana organizations and events to be able to collect surveys from. Part of that 800 was supposed to be 200 surveys from those organizations. And this is Black History Month. And so we're looking for organizations that are doing stuff related to that. In fact, actually, I think there's supposed to be one. Yeah, the Buffalo Soldiers happening tomorrow night. 2 fronts at the Willamette University at the theater. So that would be a good one.
Is anyone available to go to that? I would go, but I actually have a thing tomorrow night. But I am going to go to the Flock of Seagulls. So there's that.
Yeah, so the Buffalo Soldier one is going to be a kind of a film showing, and then a short discussion afterwards. And so we're trying to get that kicked off and get somebody over there. And then, yeah, the Flock of Seagulls one sounds pretty interesting too.
There'll be people. Can you email this out so we can each sign up? I think we did make a commitment as a board to go to at least one event, if not more. So
Yep.
you could send that out again. We could all sign up.
Yep, we'll send that out again.
And yeah, I might be able to go to the Buffalo Soldiers. I do have something tomorrow, but I could always cancel that. I don't really want to go anyways. So should I reach out directly to Zachary, or should I go through you, Chris, or Kelly?
Kelly Harms at SAA actually plans to be there and had at least 2 helpers from SAA. So it's
Beautiful.
not completely uncovered. That's not to say she wouldn't appreciate more.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
If you go to that one, you only have to get like 13 if there's 3 other people.
Yeah, that's true. Right?
Need 50 from that event, yes. But yeah, that'll be a great event, I think. And then let's see. I was trying to remember if there's something else. Got the May 31st new date. Oh, the QR codes. So you have to remember that when you fill out the QR code, you have to hit the submit button for it to go through. We've gotten like 33 QR code submissions, but it's very important to remember at the very end for if we're doing the advertising of that, don't forget to hit submit.
I'm impressed that many people actually went to it. So that's good.
Fantastic. All right. So we got 4 minutes here. So we're at the part with the roundtable discussion where we can kind of discuss and bring up events. I think we've heard from most of the operators and the event facilitators here. So I don't know, Chris, is this something that we can skip, or do you want to go through it or just see if someone wants to raise their hand and kind of brief us on what they've got going on?
I would say if there's an organization that wants to talk briefly about upcoming events that weren't listed already or talked about, please just speak up.
All right, I'm gonna start scrolling.
I don't see anything. Yep.
All right, next up here, we got the parking lot, which these items have been here for a little bit. So I think we're just kind of still waiting for city council to well, they've already started meeting in person, but I think, Chris, you were looking at different venues and finding ways that maybe we can do both in person and electronic, right?
Yeah, so we have to be able to do in person, we have to have the hybrid option available, which means we have to have a camera and computer system set up to do that. There are some locations that have that. We're looking at also trying, but there's also the timing of our meeting versus in the past we've gone to the library, but their doors close early on Wednesday nights, so they're not as open late. So we're not able to have our meeting there, but we have the option of meeting here at the city community development department's main conference room, if you don't mind squeezing in. And otherwise, I was going to see if we could reach out to Laura to go over to the Oregon ODFW. Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. That's it. and meet at the conference room that they got there. Is fairly large. And then we just need to bring a camera that can capture the room and what's being displayed for the agenda.
Perfect. All right. Well, it sounds like we're still going to be on Zoom for a little bit longer here. And we do, just a reminder, scores are going to be due as soon as you can possibly send them to Chris.
And we'd like to, starting in April, to have some tours of the facilities. So maybe we'll cut, if we don't have a meeting, we don't discuss anything, then we can do a tour. And
yeah,
I think that would be a good break.
Have a wine flight too. Why not? Have fun.
Not Chris.
Perfect. All right. And I think with that, unless there's any other comments, we've got under a minute left. So let me see. There's someone in the chat there. Nope. Cool. All
I'd
right.
like to welcome Roger. Is this your first meeting, Roger?
That's right.
Yes, it is my first meeting. I have my meeting with Chris next Wednesday, I believe, for an orientation. So I'll be up and running hopefully by the next meeting.
You're going to be on the other side of the table.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Be nice.
Yeah, we're giving him a pass on the scoring since he didn't read all the applications.
Right. I appreciate that. Yes.
Perfect. All right.
Roger, you're still with the Willamette Clay Arts?
No, I haven't been associated with the Willamette Arts Center for about 1.5 years.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, otherwise it wouldn't work, my being on the Todd board.
Well, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, glad to have you, Roger. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right,
Thank you
last
for
minute
having
plug,
me.
last minute plug, just remember, next week, Wednesday, on the 15th, get your scores submitted.
That's right. All right. Well, in that case, I think we're adjourned right on time, everyone. So enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll see you all next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.